Hello, my name is Sophie Russell, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the literary technique called symbolism. Firstly, what is symbolism? Symbolism refers to the use of objects, colours or animals to represent ideas and qualities by giving them symbolic meanings that are different from their literal sense. What can have symbolic meaning? Colours, objects and animals can have symbolic meanings. For example, a dove is an internationally recognised symbol for peace, a horseshoe is a symbol for luck, and a whip may be a symbol for cruelty. Sometimes, however, an action, event or a word spoken by someone may also have symbolic value. Why is it important to see symbols? It helps us to see the deeper meaning of the text. Often symbols are clues left by the author. The symbols can help us to identify the main ideas, themes in the text, and symbols help us to think creatively and critically. Why use symbolism? Generally, symbolism is used when an author wants one thing to represent another, to give it an entirely different meaning that is much deeper and more significant. Symbols allow writers to suggest layers of meaning that a simple statement could never convey with the same level of significance. You may not always be able to articulate fully what a certain symbol means, but you will find that the symbol will speak forcefully to your emotions and imagination. Also, you may find that you will remember and think about the symbol long after you have forgotten other parts of the story's plot. For example, the Auron in the Never-Ending Story, written by Michael Ende, symbolises the dual nature of the two worlds, fantasia and reality, and how they are intertwined. And you can see that necklace that Rhue is wearing is a silver snake and a gold snake intertwined, representing the two worlds. How do you notice symbols? Look at the symbol to reappear in the text over and over. A symbol will often stand out. Look for the symbol to be discussed in detail. Authors will often draw your attention to it. Why is the author describing this? Look at the author's attitude towards it. Look for the symbol in the title. Sometimes it's there. And here are 3 novels where the symbol is also the title of the novel. The Wave, the Mockingjay, and the Mockingbird. All those things are symbols in those novels. How do you interpret and understand symbols? Consider the qualities of the object being symbolized. Apply those qualities to the context in which they're being used. Consider how this symbol illuminates the idea, theme, and you will know what it represents. Let's look at some examples. The Wave by Morton Rhue. Now this novel is a Year 11 English communications text at the school, or what is now known as just English A and B at Year 11 level. In The Wave, high school teacher Ben Ross is trying to show his students what life in Nazi Germany might have been like. The Nazis had a symbol to identify themselves, the swastika. In order to make his students really feel like part of a group, Ben provides them with symbols of formal membership they can use to show they are part of the Wave, just like the Nazis had their swastika. The main symbol of the novel is of course the wave. The choice of imagery is connected to the main ideas in the text. A wave is unstoppable, a force of nature that sweeps over everything in its path. It indicates strength and inevitability, but also a lack of thoughtful discrimination and futility of resistance. A wave is impossible to contain and to clearly define. In To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, Miss Morty explains to Scout, mockingbirds don't do one thing but sing their hearts out for us. That's why it's a sin to kill a mockingbird. In this story of innocence destroyed by evil, the mockingbird comes to represent the idea of innocence. Thus, to kill a mockingbird is to destroy innocence. There are many symbols in the text The Hunger Games, written by Stephanie Collins, and we're going to look at 2 of those. Firstly, the Mockingjay. A quote from the novel says, they let you wear one thing from your district in the arena, one thing to remind you of home. Will you wear this? She holds out the circular gold pin that was on her dress earlier. I hadn't paid much attention to it before, but now I see it's a small bird in flight. And later on in the novel, there are more descriptions that make that symbol come alive. At the last minute, I remember Madge's little gold pin. For the first time, I get a good look at it. It's as if someone fashioned a small golden bird and then attached a ring around it. The bird is connected to the ring only by its wingtips. I suddenly recognize it, a mockingjay. They're funny birds and something of a slap in the face to the capital. The image of the mockingjay is an incredibly powerful and important weapon. A mockingjay is a hybrid bird, a mix of jabberjays and the mockingbird. Jabberjays were birds that had been genetically engineered by the capital as spies. They were meant to overhear subversive conversations and report back to the capital. However, the rebels caught on and started feeding the jabberjays false information. The birds then became useless to the capital and were left alone in the wild, where they mated with mockingbirds. Hence the mockingjay was born, a bird who repeats melodies. The mockingjays appear several times in the novel. We learn that the bird reminds Katniss of her father, who loved to whistle and sing with them. Katniss's mockingjay pin symbolises a creature with a spirit of its own. The hybrid bird is a reminder of the capital's failure to enforce their power over all living creatures. These birds are signs of resistance and rebellion. As Katniss says, there's something of a slap in the face to the capital. In many ways, as we will see in the novel, Katniss herself is very much like a mockingjay and will come to be identified with the bird. The dandelion in the novel, which is not actually in the film at all, but is quite significant in the novel. Here's the quote. But as I collected Prim and started for home that afternoon, I found him staring at me from across the schoolyard. Our eyes met for only a second, and he turned his head away. I dropped my gaze, embarrassed, and that's when I saw it, the first dandelion of the year. A bell went off in my head. I thought of the hours spent in the woods with my father, and I knew how we were going to survive. To this day, I can never shake the connection between this boy, Peter Malark, and the bread that gave me hope, and the dandelion that reminded me that I was not doomed. Then later in the novel, unfortunately, the packet of cookies hits the ground and bursts open in a patch of dandelions by the track. I only see the image for a moment because the train is off again, but it's enough to remind me of that other dandelion in the schoolyard years ago. I had just turned away from Peter Malark's bruised face when I saw the dandelion, and I knew hope wasn't lost. How do we know it's a symbol? The symbol reappears in the text. The author has drawn our attention to it and has described that symbol in some detail. Secondly, how do we interpret and understand it? Consider the qualities of flowers. We know that flowers have a special meaning across cultures. For example, red roses on Valentine's Day represent love. Apply those qualities to the context. Just before Katniss had seen the dandelion, Peter had thrown her a loaf of bread, at great risk to his own safety, breaking a long stint of starvation for Katniss and her family. The first dandelion of the year. This gives the audience the analogy of coming out of a season of hardship and into better times. We know, therefore, that the dandelion symbolises hope for Katniss. To summarise, why is it important to see symbols? It helps us to see the deeper meaning of the text. Often symbols are clues left by the author. The symbols can help us to identify the main ideas or themes in the text, and symbols help us to think creatively and critically. Thank you for listening.